Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January 22nd meeting of the Town of Milton. We'll get the meeting started by the pledge led by Councilman Isakson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Present.
Councilwoman Hurd. Present. Councilman Froelich.
Present.
Councilman Isakson.
Present.
Supervisor Vlasic.
Present.
Items, please.
Motion to accept the December 18th Town Board minutes as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
I abstain. Was not on the board that time.
Supervisor Vlasic.
Yes. Motion to accept the January 8th organizational minutes as presented.
Second. Oh, sorry about that, Ryan.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zlatnik.
Yes. We're going to take things just a little bit out of order for a second here since we're meeting at 7:30 and it's a school night. We're going to go with the presentation by the school district for the Little Libraries program first. And those guys can get home and finish their homework and get their PJs on and get to bed.
I apologize, one of my kiddos is running late. I think he's just running.
That's okay. When he grows up and be an attorney, he'll miss a whole meeting. Hey, take a breath. You're okay.
Good evening. My name is Declan
I'm going to
Jennings.
start with Sunny. Sorry, you did good. So my name is Helen Christopher. I'm actually going to give you a couple of pictures of what they're going to be talking about, so they'll allow you to see what it is they're discussing. And in front of you, you have Declan and Delora. They're both in a second grade class. And they're
Second, John, does that mic come out of the stand? That way everybody can hear us. There you go. You got enough cord?
Yes.
Okay, you're good.
Good evening. My name is Declan Jennings. I am a second grader in Mrs. Christopher's class at Milton Terrace Elementary School. I am here today to tell you what the Little Libraries are. Little libraries are public bookcases placed around town with books in them. The books are for people of all ages to encourage everyone to read. Little libraries are a free service to the community through donations and volunteers. Laura will now tell you how we take care of the little libraries. Good evening. My name is Laurel Faulkner, and I am a second grader in Miss Christopher's class at Milton Terrace Elementary School. We have 4 little libraries in our community. We're hoping to add one more to the Susan Lyle Park in Milton. The second graders and fourth graders take care of all the libraries. First, you take out the old books and put in new books. Then you make sure the libraries aren't broken. Finally, you make sure the libraries are not covered in snow. Thank you for taking this time to listen to us. We hope you will let us place a little library in the park.
Thank you very much. Great job, both of you. We're going to put that on the agenda for our February meeting. There's a couple of things that council has to work out with the school district on the whys and wheres of if and when things happen. But I can't speak for the whole board, but I believe that motion will probably pass with unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So can you guys take a quick picture?
Sure.
Show to their classmates. You guys want to stand up there?
No, come on up here. Come on here. Come on. You're gonna take 2 pictures. Sit right here. All right, now switch seats, because we can always have a lady supervisor. At least 2 years from now. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it.
Good job. Good job.
We're going to try something new with 2 public comments, one in the beginning and one at the end. We're going to see how it works. If it gets out of whack or out of hand, we'll make some changes, but we're going to try. So we'll now open the floor to public comment. Mr. Olenek.
John Olenek. It'd be appreciated, just like the children, when they speak directly to the microphone, if when there's conversation going on in the dais, that all the members on the dais speak directly to the microphone, because the microphones are not very sensitive. And if you turn your head, you lose it back there, we can't hear it. And I would suggest also that you can call in an audio expert to do an evaluation and perhaps get a free evaluation, maybe a proposal on replacing these with wireless mics that you can attach to yourselves. So no matter which way you turn, you can be heard. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Good evening, thank you. My name is Mike Icalucci, 9 Russell Street. I just wanted to hand to each of you, Mr. Supervisor and council members, a sheet with some questions pertaining to the use of computers. And if I may, I'll just quickly read through it. I'm not expecting you to respond immediately now, but I do hope you will respond at some point in the near future. Given the disclosure at the January 8th meeting that files and content on the town computers have been erased, as well as some press reporting on this issue, I ask that you review these points. 1, does the town have a policy regarding the use of computers by town employees and elected officials? If so, has that policy been violated since November of 2019? And if not, will you consider implementing a policy? Second, if information and files have been lost, have you been able to determine what has been lost? Third, have you considered, perhaps in consultation with town council, what steps might be available to help determine what has been lost? 4, have you discussed with town council what exposure, if any, the loss of files and information might raise for the town? And lastly, does the town have any insurance that can cover or help cover the financial costs associated with this loss of data? Thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Mike. Anyone else?
Good evening, Bridget Herbst, 586 Ackland Boulevard. Jumping ship a little bit here to a different topic. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wanted to address the issue of the short-term rental law, which was passed last year. I'm going to ask several questions that I posed at the meeting in September that did go unanswered by the board. So I'm hoping that this time we can kind of bring all of these things to the surface and get some answers. Home sharing has a long history in and around Saratoga. Our unique culture of a six-week high tourist season does not adequately meet the need for hotels year-round, and home sharing industry meets the needs of this situation perfectly. The law enacted by the town in 2019 discriminates against law-abiding citizens using home sharing services. I would like to specifically address the board regarding the claim that short-term transient rentals can be incompatible with the sense of privacy, community, and ambiance currently enjoyed in residential neighborhoods in the town, and have the potential to create a threat to public health, safety, and well-being. I could not disagree more. If you drive around my neighborhood in particular, you will see that the homes that participate in home sharing are always extremely well maintained with manicured lawns and envious curb appeal. This cannot be said for all of the homes in the neighborhood, and as is the case with our family, our home sharing revenue allows us to put money we might not otherwise have into the maintenance and appearance of our homes. Regarding specific complaints that we had discussed at the September meeting, does the town have any records of complaints they can share? To whom were these complaints made and for which residencies? Are these only for specific homes that are being complained about? While there may be some bad apples not monitoring their rentals, this is hardly reason to punish those of us who do. Those should be dealt with on an individual basis by the Sheriff's Department. There's no reason to discriminate against homeowners who are respectfully renting their homes by creating a whole new set of rules for them. Could these people be dealt with on an individual basis or by the complainant simply letting the homeowner know about it? While I've had an issue with neighbors in the past, I've simply addressed them with them first, as I've done with teenagers speeding through our neighborhood and other issues like dogs that constantly bark. If someone's violating a law, that person should be dealt with. Those acting in good faith should not be forced to comply with additional burdensome regulations because of it. Just like the speeding issue, lowering the speed limit for everyone is not going to make those violating the original law comply. Only punish those already following the law.
1 minute, ma'am.
That said, I'm aware that some of the complaints being made are by some people are not model citizens with concerning vices and a failure to abide by laws. How specifically will the law be enforced? Will town officials be given carte blanche to access homes because someone has a permit for a short-term rental? If you could specifically offer clarification on what specific cost the homeowner will bear, is there a metric, a flat fee, and what is this in reference to pertaining to Article 4, Section D3 of the law? Also, a detailed explanation for what a reasonable request means in Article 8, Section A. This seems like a socialist overreach of government power, a workaround on the need to not get a warrant to enter someone's private home, a clear Fourth Amendment violation. I often use home sharing while on vacation, and as I'm sure many of you do in this room, and I cannot imagine if the law enforcement or town officials were allowed to enter the home my family and I were staying in. Does this law only apply to those using home sharing online services? What about
10 seconds, please.
Thank you. Just to end, as a fiscal conservative and taxpayer, I would just like to address the town and ask how much money will be budgeted for potential lawsuits that may stem from this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Kimberly Amodio, 921 MacArthur Drive, Boston Spa. I'm hereby requesting that the short-term rental law needs to be repealed immediately. This was added to the agenda last minute within 4 hours of the last meeting in the afternoon when many people didn't even know about this, that it was going to be discussed on that particular night. The law was quickly passed several weeks ago without the knowledge of many residents. I personally feel, as well as many others, that it was passed out of spite by several people that were voted off of the board. If this town cannot demonstrate that the short-term rentals have been threats to public safety and health, this law is not justifiable. Neighbors have the right to expect that homeowners and guests will abide by current rules regarding noise, garbage, parking. It's not fair to discriminate against home sharers by creating rules on top of the existing rules that already exist and are being enforced in all of our neighborhoods. Neighbors do not have the right to discourage lawful visitors. I'm curious about the parking rule. Is street parking not allowed in residential neighborhoods? If it is, then it should be allowed for short-term renters as well. Providing notice of short-term rental properties to neighbors and their personal information is not necessary.
Homeowners have a right to privacy and not to broadcast lawful activities. You don't have to provide notice to neighbors when you buy a house close to them or rent a home in their area. You also don't have to report occupations or hobbies or other home uses to your neighbors as well. The census, according to last year, when I looked up, was 19,179 people in the town of Milton. I'm assuming that has grown. There's probably less than 40 to 50 people that are currently renting. With only just a few complaints, remember, a few complaints, that would make the percentage less than 1% of all people in the town of Milton are actually unhappy about homeowners choosing to occasionally rent their homes out, primarily during the summer months, to make ends meet and care for their homes and their children. Moreover, an ordinance on short-term rental properties in the town of Milton will deprive our community of benefits such as an increase in tourism revenue, spending from homeowners with greater income streams as a result of their rental income.
1 minute.
I feel like this law was created by just a few people, and I feel like if there is a new board, if you follow these practices, then I feel like in a few years you will no longer be representing us and our voices as well. This is not how our town and government should be operating. This is a new board. I feel that the law was unethically passed and constructed, and I do feel like it should be overturned immediately. Please do the right thing and repeal this law. I do have a list of over 35 residents here that gave their names and their phone numbers that oppose the law and would like to see it repealed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll give that to Brenda. Anyone else?
My name is Jennifer. I live at 947 MacArthur Drive. I'm reading this on behalf of someone who unfortunately couldn't be here because they were called out of town unexpectedly. But his name is Walter Thompson. He lives at 635 Stark Terrace. He said he's lived there since 2003 with his wife and now 4 boys. Milton has been a great town to raise my large family, but I am extremely disappointed and angry at the town for this current legislation directed at the long-standing, tax-paying, hard-working families of the town of Milton. The thought that our town would try to act and legislate our residents in such a heavy-handed, knee-jerk manner is hard to fathom. The fact that this so-called law was apparently pushed through by an outgoing supervisor who obviously didn't have the support of the residents and the voters of Milton makes this seem vindictive and even more infuriating. Excessive government intervention not only limits our individual freedoms, it stifles entrepreneurial creativity and the ability of hardworking Americans to enjoy their lives and provide for their families. In 17 years, there has never been an issue anywhere in my neighborhood from residents or guests. I don't think I have ever seen a police car in my area in all that time, with the exception of when my 6-year-old son and my 8-year-old niece called 911 to see what would happen. I have all my neighbors, most that have lived right next door to me for 17 years, that will attest to that as well. I have had plenty to add on this topic, and I'm ready to stand with my fellow neighbors and fight this absurd new law as long as needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody else want to?
I don't have anything prepared. Heather Curto, 950 MacArthur Drive. I would like to also agree with the people about the policy for short-term rentals as well. I think for 3 reasons it needs to be repealed. And the first thing is for the reason how this policy was passed between Christmas and New Year's Eve seems like a really absurd time to be passing a policy such as this. I think that it was a very sloppy policy. If you read through it, it seems like there's a lot of cutting and pasting from communities that it doesn't reflect our community. I agree with the parking and the garbage. Those are not standards that we hold for our neighbors. I don't know why we're holding that for rentals as well. I think it needs to be repealed and it needs to be thought out and it needs to reflect our community and our board. So thank you for listening to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Cannell. I live at 12 Surrey Lane in Boston Spa. I've been there for 52 years. I'm probably one of the oldest developments in this part of town. There was no other housing developments when we moved in 1968. In 1968, there was 3 roads, 3 streets, and then Geyser Crest was attached to us. We were originally Heritage Hills. The question about short-term rentals came up the first year we were there. We moved in October of 1968, and the following season, horse racing season, someone wanted to rent their house, and we were all like, I don't know. We never had a problem ever, 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 ever. We had terrific people in all these houses. We had, our kids grew up with jockeys' kids. The diversity in the housing development went up, I don't know, multifold. My kids got a better education as a result of all of these different people that came, and they didn't come for a long time. Most of the time people would come and they would stay for a month. That was it. We never had problems with anything, nothing. We did have a lot more activity. We got to know some terrific people. We still know them. We still see them. And these were renters that came in. And I have to tell you, I am with these people. I have no problem with this. And our development is very old, so they're not going to come to our house, you know, unless maybe they will, you know, or I put a whole bunch of food out there maybe. But I'm serious when I say that there really isn't a whole lot of trouble with anybody who does this renters. You're going to have a list of rules and regulations, and you're going to make sure they're going to follow them, and you're also going to do all the same things that you would do to take care of your house. And most of the people that we knew, all of the people that we knew that moved in, took care of the houses better than some of the original owners. So, good luck to you guys, and I hope that they do repeal this, because I too think that it was rushed through too quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Keith Lewis, 38 East High Street in Boston Spa. In response to what they're speaking of, the one thing that I don't think that has been considered is when you begin to approve rentals, you begin to assume some liability. And I wonder if the town's thought about the fact that if I were renting in the town of Milton and I expected that property to be code efficient because you put the stamp of approval, and the actual owner perhaps neglected some part, I'm wondering if we're not opening ourselves up to lawsuits. Because right now, the burden is upon the owner and their insurance company. But once you begin regulating it, the burden also becomes on the town. And I just wonder if we've anticipated it and put it into perspective.
He's right about that. I'm an insurance agent, so he's right about it. But I demand that.
Carrie Jackson, 924 MacArthur Drive. I did speak a few other board meetings, again, in regard to the short-term rental law. In addition to everything that everyone else has already said, first, I would like to thank Barb for her willingness to listen and continue to have conversations with her constituents, particularly on this issue. She reaches out, she calls, she writes notes, she leaves things on doors for us, so thank you. Thank you for that openness, for that willing to communicate, being willing. Next, I would like a show of hands from the gallery. Who here is opposed to the short-term rental law? Do we have a show of hands? Anybody want to be brave? Anyone want to be brave? Hold them up high. Opposed. Those of you who think it should be repealed, right nice and high. Nice and high. Nice and high. So I think it's safe to say that that's the majority of the room. Thank you, everyone. In addition to what everyone else has said, I'm going to ask you to do one simple thing and listen to your constituents. We are good people. We love our little town. It's a wonderful place to raise our families. We are responsible neighbors. We communicate with each other regularly, whether it's a good thing
or it's a not so comfortable conversation. We ask that you reverse this government overreach and save all of us a lot of stress, a lot of money, time away from our families, which is one of the reasons I think why we rent, so we can have a little extra money to take our kids someplace fun. Also to repair your relationship with us. Previous administration, now this administration coming in, I don't think many of us know who we can trust and who we can't trust. So this is an opportunity for you to let us know that we are on the right path together as a town. I said it last time and I'll say it again as you are listening to your constituents. I'm seeing in your faces that you know this is a bad law, and it shows in your faces. It's really just a gross invasion of our privacy.
1 minute, please.
I know you can't comment during this point in the meeting to us publicly, but if you could at some point this evening let us know, if it's possible, if you will be moving forward and in what direction, I think we would really appreciate that communication. And I do believe that a lot of us are going to still continue to come to the meetings to kind of see what's going on. I don't think there is anything else in the town right now, other than a few, my personal opinion, a few ugly signs that have been going up on Rollins Street. I don't think there's anything else in the town that we're not happy with. So again, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Barry High, and I live in Winter Circle. Still not used to the snow. I gotta tell you. And it's really hard to go after all these wonderfully beautiful, great ladies, and here I am. Okay, I have to say something. I missed the last meeting. Sorry about that. We have a whole new board now. Basically, I mean, it's a new group. I met them and I met people from the other side, and I have no problem talking to either side. I find that everybody by themselves are nice people. I happen to know from meeting them, they listen to the people. I will bet you dollars to donuts that they will take care of this for you. But I think we all have to give them the chance to do what they have to do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Oh,
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I'd like to address something that's on the agenda for this evening, and I'm actually looking for some guidance and clarification, mainly because I missed the last meeting. So if you would indulge me. It's regarding the appointment of a justice. Excuse me. As I understand it, the position for the justice was advertised in a date that the applications had to be in was the beginning of December 4th, 9th, something like that, correct? Then it got re-advertised on Facebook with a different date, is that correct?
That's my understanding, that's correct, yes.
Oh.
The original date for the advertising.
Are we allowed to have a dialogue back and forth when we address the...
I asked for guidance, and this is my time, thank you.
Okay. If this is public comment, this is on the agenda for this evening. I'm quite certain this back and forth will happen during that time. So I don't think we'll be able to respond to your questions. If you want to throw them out there, we can answer them when we get to that part of the meeting.
Okay, that's fair enough. And can I do that uninterrupted, do you think?
Best we can.
Thank you. So as I understand it, then I'll put it that way. It was advertised for a specific date legally. Then it was advertised on a different date on Facebook, which is not a legal route of notice, as far as I know. You can't answer that, so I'm going to go with that. Applications were put in for the position, all of which arrived after the legal notice date. One arrived before the Facebook date, and then one arrived after the Facebook date. But as I understand it, Facebook is not a form of legal notice. So my question is procedure. It's not about who, it's about procedure. If this is true and there was a big confusion of the two dates, legal notice versus non-legal notice, I'm asking you to consider reposting and proceeding lawfully where there's no question. I say repost it, make the date, do it through the legal venues of notification, and carry on the right way, and let's do it right. That's what we want to see done, right? We all want to see it done right. So that's my first question. Now my next part of this is the following. The person that's being considered as an attorney, have either you or Barb used this attorney for legal purposes?
That will all come out in our
Okay,
discussions
you told me
later on.
you told me to throw my questions out there, so I'm throwing them out there. And and I would also like to know if there's any business dealings between the members and this person, or is that my 1 minute?
That's your time.
That's 3 minutes?
I was so captivated, I didn't see the minute.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I piqued your interest. But those are basically my questions, so if you could answer them during your discussion, I would appreciate it.
We will.
Thank you very much.
Amanda's got left at the door.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, we will close public comment. I don't know, Jim, do we need a motion, or do we just have to announce that we're going to have one meeting in February? Okay. Our meetings are scheduled for the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, and the second Tuesday of February is Lincoln's birthday, which is a town holiday, so the town will not be open that day. Other things going on the third Wednesday preclude us from meeting, and that would be the second and fourth Wednesdays anyway, so what we're going to do is just have one meeting. It will be the fourth. What I'd like to do is just have one meeting that will be on the fourth Tuesday of February. So Wednesday, sorry about that, fourth Wednesday. So I need a motion to do that.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thanks, Frank.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr. Yes. Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalotnik.
Yes. Next is a letter from the Saratoga County's Children's Christmas Program. Dear staff of the town of Milton, the Saratoga County Children's Christmas Program would like to extend a sincere and heartfelt thank you for your help in bringing Christmas presents to over 370 children this year. This would not have been possible without the generous support of people like you. Thank you very much for caring and acting to make a real difference in the lives of those less fortunate at Christmas time. Sincerely, Keith Kershoff and Tina Potter from the county. A letter from Bill Lewis reminding all officials that we need to complete NIMS training. Dear Supervisors Zlotnik, all elected officials, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you all that elected officials need to complete NIMS training. All classes are online. Please look over the sheets that you have attached. Thank you, Bill. A letter from Arseni asking to attend the annual DC-ACO conference. I didn't know it was on the back. Dear Town Supervisors, Zlotnik and Town Board, I am interested in attending the 11th annual DCO-ACO Conference 2020. This is being held at the Gilderland Fire Department. The course runs May 6th and 7th. The cost of the conference is $50. Topics discussed will be but not limited to animal behavior, dog handling techniques, dog enumeration, and verbal judo. A full itinerary will be available once the scheduled events are finalized. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Sincerely, Arseni Poliak. Motion to approve Arseni to attend the conference with the cost not to exceed $50 and all expenses paid by the town.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalotnik.
Yes. A letter from Darlene Brown and Judge Brown, Darlene Allen, my apologies, and Judge Brown regarding the extra time he has been required to spend in the court. Town Supervisor and Town Board. Please see the attached letter from Judge Brown regarding his time in the court. He is filling in for all duties, including a previously scheduled court night, on-call for arraignments, and all other duties that had been previously shared with Judge Turo. Please consider compensating him an additional $1,689.83 per month for January and February until a new judge has been properly trained. This is based on the annual salary for the justices of $20,278. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you for your consideration. I'm going to read this letter from Judge Brown now. I write to in regard to transition in court. The court has undertaken additional unfunded mandates as a result of the recent implementation of the New York Justice State Jail Reform Act. There are additional duties and requirements of the town justices and clerks which have been included in the new legislation and have drastically increased the amount of time it takes for data entry, form completions, attorney principal notifications, and other duties. I would like to address this at some point with regard to court staffing by meeting with board members in an effort to see what can be done to alleviate the crunch of the mandates and hopefully work out some options that can amicably please the town and court needs. In addition to the above, the court has also been in the process of transferring all cases and matters pending my calendar with vacancies created by Judge Turo's resignation. I have assumed the duties for all administrative approvals, vacations, cases, and on-calls, hearings, and other issues that may arise. I have also been maintaining this Wednesday evening schedule of the court in the event of the incoming Justice Tuesday continues with that schedule. The process of transferring Judge Turo's cases began in October and was completed at the time of her resignation, effective 12/31/2019. With the requirements of a new justice assuming the bench, regardless if it is an attorney or not, there are requirements that must be completed prior to court. For example, fingerprinting, bank accounts, e-justice, computer clearance, and testing. I fully expect those to take an additional month at least. Therefore, the best case scenario is approaching March or so, in which I will continue to solely administer the court. I would respectfully request the appropriate compensation for the duties as outlined in the New York State Town Law, the New York State Justice Court Manual, Title III, C, subsection I, 1, 2, and 3, pages 25, 26, and 27. I appreciate any consideration on this matter, and as always, if I can answer any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I think as we talked about at our last meeting, this is something that we can take care of, so we should probably move on doing that. So I would like to look for a motion to approve the additional payment to Judge Brown in the amount of $1,689.83 per month for January and at least February, an amount not to exceed 2 months, $3,379.66.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Are we fairly confident that he won't exceed that into the third month? I don't know how long it takes the justice to get up to speed.
I spoke to the judge this afternoon. Fingerprinting, that process takes at least, even Tim being a former deputy who had to go through the system, it took him 4 weeks to get his fingerprints through the system. So that's someone who already was in the system. He's thinking it's going to take at least 4 weeks to get through there. So I would expect we may be getting another request in March for the same total.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalatnik.
Yes. Motion to approve continued membership with the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce at a yearly membership cost of $554.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalatnik.
Yes. Next is a letter from John Winnell of the Planning Board asking to be allowed to attend the AOT conference in New York City. Town Board, I am honored to serve the town of Milton in the capacity of a planning board member. As part of my service to the town, I am requesting approval to attend training to ensure that I continuously improve my knowledge level on the issues and regulations that impact planning board of the town of Milton. I'm requesting to attend the annual meeting in New York City. The 2020 annual training conference is the second training I am requesting to attend, training at the Marriott Marquis in New York City, February 16th through the 19th. The expenses for this training include a conference fee of $150 for members and $185 when the registration is made after. We're going to make that registration this week, so that total won't apply. Room cost is $299 per night, again picked up for by the town. He intends to meet subsection, is that section? 180-73.2 of the town code, which requires that every member planning board shall annually attend one or more training, continuing education courses or the equivalent of 4 hours related to the planning board work. Thank you for your consideration of this request. John Whittle. Motion to allow myself, John Whittle, and Bernadette Van Dens Perez to attend the Associated Town Conference in New York City from February 16th to the 19th with all costs paid for by the town.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zavadi.
I will abstain. Next is a motion to reappoint Rich Gorman of Fairground Avenue to the Board of Assessment Review, the term to end on September 30th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zavadi.
Yes. Next is a motion to appoint John Cromie, 132 Bath Street, to the position of Town Justice at a salary per the 2020 salary schedule effective date of January 23rd, to fill the term left by Judge Turo ending December 31st, 2020. Before that motion, I'd like to read a statement here. Before considering the motion, I feel that I am first obligated to discuss and disclose my relationship with John Cromie. I have known John for over 40 years, casually and informally through his practice as a local attorney, where my mother was his first secretary while I was still in high school. As a member of the Ballston Spa Rotary Club and more recently with his involvement in my recent campaign, John did such things as review petitions, carry petitions, donated funds, a total of $375. He went door to door and placed a sign on his lawn. While I feel my relationship with John places me and others on this board in a situation to which many may appear as a conflict of interest or given the appearance of impropriety when I consider him for an appointment, I can assure you that my decision is based solely on his credentials and qualifications. I am aware that in a normal situation, it would be best if I was to simply abstain from voting on the matter. In fact, a read of our ethics code reveals the potential for that violation. However, I feel my obligations as a member of the town board, and to the town board and past court cases require me to vote. Having researched the topic, I have been made aware by the Association of Towns and Council that when a board such as the town board comes across a scenario where the majority of the board is potentially conflicted out for whatever reason from voting on a matter that can only be decided by this very board and no one else, and the matter is of importance and crucial to the day-to-day operations of the offices and the town, under the rule of necessity, I can and must vote, as not to do so would be to avoid my obligations and duties as a sworn officer of this town. That scenario, where a potential or perceived conflict exists with a majority of the board, can result in the inability of a board to carry on its essential duties and result in the complete failure of the town to operate efficiently and effectively. That cannot be allowed to happen here. Here, we have at least 3 members of this board who are arguably conflicted out for essentially the same reason, their relationship with John. And his involvement with our recent campaign, as previously stated, would leave the board without a quorum to vote and incapable of making a decision. As previously stated, this decision can only be made by the board. The rule of necessity is well-established law in New York. It requires, and I emphasize the word requires, an arguably or potentially conflicted board member to make the decision anyway in situations where no other persons or board have the authority to do so. This is a two-justice court town with the volume of court cases that more than warrant such, and we cannot wait any further to get this position filled, as Judge Brown has already stated and indicated his dissatisfaction with the delays in filling the vacant seat. We properly advertised for the position, and only 2 people applied within the time frame set in which to apply. One of them later withdrew. Some have suggested that we should ignore the application deadline, and even gone as far as to state we ignore deadlines all the time, then why should this be different? Well, it is different. A deadline is a deadline. It is set for a reason, and we will abide by them. And while there was one other person who applied for the job, albeit after the deadline, I know that John has over 46 years of experience in both civil and criminal matters, in dozens of justice and city courts throughout the county and surrounding counties. He has presented and defended cases before county and Supreme Courts, family court, surrogates court, the appellate division, 3rd Department, the New York State Court of Appeals, as well as before grand juries, and has been involved in well over 4,700 court cases over the course of his career. He also has a master's in public administration, which I believe would be an asset to the court. His appointment by this board will only be till the end of this year, and in November, the voters can decide who is the best candidate for the position. But right now, he is by far the most qualified and best candidate we have. Appointing him is in the best interest of this town. With that in mind, I ask for a motion to appoint John Cromie as Town of Milton Justice, effective immediately, at his salary set forth in the budget, and for the terms ending December 31st. I'd like a motion.
Before I make that motion, I'd also like to disclose, I have known John, I'll also be voting under this rule of necessity. We must appoint a justice, and this board is the only entity that can do this at this time. I'd like to disclose that I've known Mr. Cromie for approximately 10 years. He has supported all of my campaigns, as he has also supported every member of this board's campaign. He's donated to them, so it kind of puts us all in the same position here. He also supported me. He was on the Republican committee when I was the endorsed candidate for the Republican committee. He's donated to my campaign. In the past, Mr. Cromie has donated in this last campaign a total amount of $375. He also had written and checked our petitions. He carried our petitions, handed out, he did handouts and put signs on his property. We have also, both of us, been members of the Milton Grange, I believe, for the last 7 or 8 years. That's where I think I first met John. And I also will disclose that he has done personal work for me, which is something I don't believe I should have to disclose under attorney-client privilege, but I want it all out in the open. With that, I'll make a motion to appoint John Cromie to the justice position to the town of Milton. Thank you.
I will second, and with that I would also like to say, as everyone is aware, I did campaign with both Benny and Barb. That is the first time that I interacted with Mr. Cromie, so I am aware that he has assisted with our campaign, has donated to our campaign, and offered his support as well.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I have some things that I'd like to bring up. Last month, we talked about interviewing the second candidate, or you thought that was important. Have we done that?
I did not interview the candidate, John.
Barb?
No.
Brian?
No.
So I guess it was pretty much set in stone last month. When I look at ethical issues, certainly, and I look at how we do business in the town, I believe that we should have consistency. And I have heard over the past 2 years how other board members were unethical. In your very words, Barb, if somebody has a conflict, we should advertise more so we find somebody that doesn't have a conflict. Those were your exact words in an open meeting. When I looked at the 2 applicants, and I've known John Cromie since we were teenagers, so John and I go back a long ways. This has nothing to do with John as a person. It has to do with who the personnel committee felt was the best qualified person for the job. The second person that interviewed for the job has no conflict with any board member or anybody in the town. Second person that interviewed for this job was a 25-year-old police officer with the city of Saratoga. When he retired from that position, he went and got a law degree, which he is now admitted to 3 states. He has done nothing but criminal defense work in his whole career. He has done nothing but batting courts in his whole career. I think when we look at a position like this, and we're looking to get the best qualified people, the other thing that this candidate does, he's done over 135 conflict resolution cases for the Public Defender's Office. So this gives me a good indication of this man's qualifications. The things that we interviewed on, and we asked all the candidates, and we made a big issue out of this last month, I asked them if they were going to give up their law practices. I don't expect anybody to give up their law practice for a $20,000 a year job. But when the other candidate said, yes, he's at retirement age, I am backing out of my law practice and I would devote my time to the town justice thing, I viewed that as another plus. I think when we look at all and we campaign on, we're going to hire the best qualified person, we're going to be ethical, we're going to do all these other things, we should really look seriously at what we are voting on tonight. And I will not vote in favor of Mr. Crowley.
Any discussion? Well, all right. Councilman Blaisdell.
Everything else equal, my preference would be for the person who has the police experience, so my response is no.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
No.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Supervisor Zalotnik.
Yes. Moving on to reports. Start with animal control. Arsene's not with us tonight, so I will be reading the animal control, the dog control report for the month of December. 76 phone calls, 1 dog bite, 1 lost dog, 1 animal taken to the shelter, 1 DOA, no abuse complaints, 1 appearance ticket, no rabies, 2 miscellaneous cases, 47 delinquent licenses, and 3 miscellaneous violations and summonses. Respectfully submitted, Arsene Polniak. The budget controller's report versus actual for December is actually our end of year, so Darlene has asked for a little extra time to get that together. We'll have that for the February meetings. Highway.
Oh, sorry.
That's good.
It has been an active winter season for the highway department. We have already had numerous storms that have kept our department busy with cleaning roadways and intersections. Highway department has also been cutting back limbs of trees that grow over into the roadway, creating a hazard to both our snowplows and school buses. Overgrown limbs also create a shadowing on the roads, thus that could cause more frequent ice issues. We ask residents to remember the town code that prevents them from parking on the roadways from November until April. The code makes sure the roadways are clear so we can safely plow and do our jobs in an efficient manner. The highway department also makes a sand salt mixture available to town residents during the winter months. The sand salt mixture will only be available to town residents on a first come first served basis. The sand salt mixture may be only taken in 5-gallon buckets or containers. Respectfully submitted, David C. Forbes.
Sorry, I skipped over the building department report.
Dear Supervisors Zalotnik and Town Board members, during the month of December, the Building Department processed 19 building permits and collected $4,859 in building permit fees. We completed 92 construction inspections, 13 fire safety inspections, and responded to 6 code enforcement complaints. A total of 31 permits were closed, with 15 certificates of occupancy and 16 certificates of compliance being issued. We also collected $80,000 in sewer connection fees. Please find the appropriate itemized reports attached. Respectfully submitted, William F. Lewis, Building Inspector.
Thank you, Ryan. Historian?
Good evening, Town Board and Supervisor Zalotnik. The Historic Structures and Places Committee met on January 9th at 6:30 at Town Hall. We discussed the West Milton Cemetery Brookside fundraising efforts, the next Heritage Award recipient, and the explosion on December 29th, and Kim McCartney's new book on cemeteries around the town of Milton. Brookside now has revised bylaws under which to operate under, and also some new board members. They will also be doing some new fundraising events as well. If you have an interest in the history of the town, which I hope you do, feel free to join us. Our next meeting is Wednesday, February 19th at 6:30 here at Town Hall. We'll be up here in this room. The Saratoga County History Roundtable met on Thursday, January 16th, last week at Brookside Museum. The program was a show and tell of pieces from history. There were 10 presenters. I shared the story of a key I found when the water was low up at the second Dogger Reservoir. It was that big. Anyway. There was even a 1787 Connecticut coin that was shown that was found recently on a young man's property at the old Rollins Hollow Mill site, just up on Rollins Street. And he went out there with a metal detector that he got for Christmas, and that was the first thing he found. Holy cow. It was pretty exciting. He was pretty excited about it too. The next program will be Saturday, February 22nd at Brookside, where representatives from Rutgers University will be presenting a program on creating oral histories. And we'll be looking for volunteers in the near future to participate in our oral history project. We're in the process of working with a group through Brookside and through Saratoga Library as well to digitize tape recordings that were done in the 1970s. And so once those are done, we're going to be starting to elicit those that can tell us more about the history of the town before it's lost. So anyway, that's kind of a side note. After several weeks of organization, and I do mean weeks, I've organized and archived all the Kessler materials that we have here at Town Hall, which was a huge job. I used the word big in my report, but it was huge. It was a lot there. And to put it all in the right kind of order, and it's all archived. We're in a good spot with that. Funds are still needed for Brookside to meet their goal of $100,000 by March. So if you're not a member yet, strongly consider becoming one. One of their initiatives is to expand their membership base, so this is the time to become a member if you aren't already. I have membership applications right here. So, let's see, where was I? If you need them. It's a wonderful resource and we're lucky to have it, and it needs our continued support. And remember, the $100 level, you get the membership card to the North American Reciprocal Museum Association that entitles you to free admission to more than 1,000 museums nationwide, and some also in Canada. This can be a good incentive to join. Donations are always welcome, and they have a nice fundraiser coming up on February 7th, which is one of the first Friday nights in the village. It's called the 18th Century Chocolate House, which you need to pre-register for on their website. There's a cost of $25 a person or $40 for two. Who doesn't love chocolate? So, at any rate, respectfully submitted, Karen Stelters. There's a little thing on the bulletin board as you go down the stairs, so, about the chocolate thing, so, takes note.
Thank you, Karen.
Hope to see you there.
Registrar.
She didn't hand in a report.
Okay. Town clerk.
All right. So for the month of December, we did 3 search for records, 7 conservation, 99 dog licensing, 2 marriage licensing, and 13 miscellaneous, for a total revenue of $2,406.50.
Thank you. Town justice.
Milton Town Court summary, December 1st to December 31st, 2019. Charges received 73, charges disposed 127. Total monies collected and remitted to state comptroller. Fines were $2,394, surcharges $2,725, civil fees of $846, for a total of $5,965.
Tax collector, I'm going to read that for Lisa. Supervisors Lotnick and town board members, taxes collected from January 2nd through January 15th were $1,358,032.29. As of January 2020, 16% of taxes owed have been collected. Respectfully submitted, Lisa Warnes. Youth Bureau, Meg, do you have anything?
Just a very short one.
No.
No, Barry, I'm not you. It's gonna be short, I promise. There won't be another meeting of the youth council until March, but I was honored to be named one of the judges for the Governor's Youth Council for Saratoga County, and only one application came in from all of Saratoga County. It was very short notice. I spoke to the board about it before. I think we came out in November. We got the information and I forwarded it to the board that they had to have everything in by December 5th, including a video and an essay and this long form filled out. So there were not many applicants, even when they extended the deadline, because it was a lot of work for a kid to put together. But a young woman from Clifton Park managed to get everything together. So it was pretty easy voting, obviously. I didn't have much help at all deciding on candidates. There was one other thing to speak to, but I don't remember what it was. But the next meeting will be in March. Oh, I know what it is. I've been asked to be vice president of the council again. For I think this will be my 5th or 6th time. So,
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. We'll do our liaison reports now. Buildings and grounds, Frank?
Building and Grounds crew has been working on the town hall facilities, including snow removal from parking lots and roofs, and they replaced lights and ballasts in the buildings and do their regular cleaning. The community center has had floors stripped and waxed this month, as well as replaced ceiling tiles. And in the parks, we have done the annual equipment, everything is ready to go, and we're looking forward to the next snowstorm. Can't beat us. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Frank. John, with the highway department?
I pretty much gave it all in the report.
Okay.
Other than the boys have been busy and they're doing a good job.
Yeah, if I could comment on that, I received a couple letters in the mail that came in this week. I haven't had a chance to distribute them out, but everybody was, one letter was someone had a tree fall down and the crew was there before the sun came up, and before the sun came up, they were down and gone, so she appreciated that very much. Building department and town court.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Barb?
Zoning board had a meeting on December 26th. They had a public hearing on 105 Hudson Lane. No one spoke for or against it, so there was some discussion among the board, and they will take a vote at their next meeting, which I believe is tomorrow night. And planning, excuse me, planning board, they reviewed again the Belmonte, 804 Middle Line Road. There was quite a bit of discussion on that. They're still waiting for more paperwork to come in, and hopefully they can set a public hearing on that one. And then Rollins Street subdivision, the contractor will be meeting with the building department and highway, and they're waiting for county referrals. So that was continued until next month. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to let everybody know what happened at the county meetings that I attended this month. One was the Health and Social Services Committee. We accepted a grant for $50,000 to help with people that are in the county jail get over their opioid addiction. We all know that's a pretty big problem everywhere, and that money was a grant. It's not going to cost the county anything, but it gives it's from the mental health director, Dr. Michael Prezio, and he's got a program where he goes in and actually works with the people that are incarcerated and tries to help them both physically and mentally get over that habit, so when they get out, they're not falling back into it. We also accepted a $2,500 grant from the New York State Age-Friendly Planning Grant. That is to help identify the needs of seniors so they can stay in their homes. This will be a $2,500 grant over 2 years. It's going to work with social services, and it's also going to take maps of the communities where seniors are living and see if, just for an example, if we have a large, we actually do have, senior apartments, 55 and older, what services are available within either walking distance or a short drive for them that would overlay things like the Hannaford, where there's a drugstore and actually the Hannaford where they can buy groceries. That would allow the Office for the Aging to perhaps set up transportation for those people to get to the store, to the drugstore, and to allow them to age in. Not everybody wants to move to a senior's, apartment. Some people like to age in their home. This would allow those that maybe shouldn't be driving or couldn't be driving anymore the ability to stay there. It is a 2-year study, but as things progress, we'll let you know. One other committee that I went to was the Real Property Tax Committee. They set the dates for the property auctions. March 19th will be the spring auction, and September 15th will be the fall auction. And then finally, Buildings and Grounds Committee. We met, and they wanted to give us an update on the airport project. They will be working on the fence this year, replacing the fence at a little bit of a taller height. There's actually a section that doesn't have any fence at all, and somehow, nature's way, the animals are finding their way around the fence and through that, which isn't really a hole in the fence, just a place where the fence hasn't been installed yet. So there will be some work done there to install the fence. At the solar building, what used to be the solar building, it's still called the solar building there, the 4-H building, they are going to take down those ill-advised and rarely used solar panels that were in the front. They're going to take that down and put up 2 canopies to go through the entrances. They're going to redo the parking lot of the supervisor's building. That parking lot needs to be replaced. And they're going to do some rehabilitation work on the County Farm water tower. It was, when purchased, it was a used tower, and they've been keeping up on maintenance, but they're going to have an inspection of it this spring, and they'll take the necessary repairs that need to be done. But I just want to let everybody know what was going on at the county too. If we can keep public comment relatively short and civil, we'll try it again. John.
It's a political fact of life, whether at the state, national, or local level, to the winners or the spoils. I see absolutely no problem with ethics regarding the appointment of John Cromie. And I expect to see some very positive changes from the new majority on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? John?
I want to thank you for having the discussion that you had, and I'm sorry that it seems to have, that I have, or this position seems to have split the board. I hope it does not continue that way. And the other thing I hope is that I end up doing and handling this job, that I will be a credit to this town and a service to its people. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Jenna Singer, 585 Acton Boulevard. As a resident of Milton and a teacher in the Ballston Spa Central School District, I often rely on the timelessly recency theory, which understands that we remember the first and last things we hear in any given time period. As such, I would like to revisit the comments made by my neighbors earlier to ask you to repeal the law that puts constraints on short-term rentals. Among other things, my family uses the money earned to keep the curb appeal of our house up and ensure the beauty of our town. Since my husband is not handy, which I have his permission to share, we often employ local business people to care for our lawn, pool, and other aspects of our home. As a tradesman to the area 15 years ago, I cannot imagine calling it anywhere else home. I am loved and supported by my neighbors, and I love and support them in turn.
Your lack of consideration of your constituents in this matter is discouraging, and I ask you once again to repeal this law that is a gross demonstration of a mistrust in our ability to maintain a positive, safe community.
Thank you. I'm going to try very hard to end meetings on a positive note. So that being said, there's a little paper that's put out, it's called Saratoga Today. I get my copy at the bowling alley. Evidently, it's a free thing. But the athlete of the week for the middle of January was Boston Spa's own Nick Palso. He's a junior wrestler, and he reached a pretty good milestone sometime this month when he won his 100th career match, which is a pretty good milestone for wrestlers. His record as of this paper was 25-2, and they had a couple of matches, so let's presume that it's 20-something and still 2. So I just wanted to let Nick know that we're following him out for the rest of the season here. Any other business?
Were you going to bring up about our computer meeting this afternoon?
Yep. John and I met with Jim and our IT person this afternoon. I know there was some consternation about what happened. The IT individual, the guy from IT told us that all of our stuff is backed up nightly. Emails were put back on my computer and my secretary's computer. Emails from the previous users of those computers were replaced, put back. We also asked him about looking into how these things happened, and he said it was going to be a very expensive proposition to look into, probably around, did he say around $5,000, and to look forensically into a hard drive and see what happened, and we still may get no relief from what happened or how it happened. So I'm hopefully officially putting this thing to bed. We need to move on, and I know some people are going to be disappointed with that, and other people are not, but this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to move on, and so that's where it's going to die. I don't see any resolution coming to this that makes any sense. The gentleman told us that even if they did get information back on the hard drives of something that may be missing or that was there, it would be in pieces because the way things fragment or refragment up, and we would still have no idea who was responsible for those actions. So I just can't see hanging around and keeping things hanging over our head that we don't need to have. I know I've disappointed some people with that decision, but that's mine, and so we're moving on.
Well, certainly, Benny, I thank you for the meeting, and I thank you for coming to the decision you did. I think what we just want everybody in the town to understand was there were no official records missing or lost. And the only thing that was wiped or taken off the computer was the Windows Word Office program. That includes Outlook, things like that. And on the 2 computers, it took them only 2 hours to reinstall those programs.
Yeah, it was 2 hours on each, 2 hours on each computer.
No, I think it was 2 hours total.
No, it was 2 hours my day. I know it was.
Okay. But even still, we just want everybody to understand that this wasn't any big.
I mean, well, it wasn't.
Well, it's disappointing. We move on and we do what's in the best interest of our town. Correct?
I agree with you, John, yes. Anything else? Okay, just remember, no meeting the second Wednesday of February. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Brenda? No, we're going home.
Councilwoman Burrows. Councilman Burrows.
Yes.
Councilman Fox.